All election officers will need to arrive between 6 a.m. and 6:30 a.m., but absolutely no later than 6:30 a.m. on Election Day to ensure enough time to complete setup of the items that could not be left in the polling place overnight. Using the inspector and polling place coordinator guides, everyone will work together to complete the setup. If someone does not show up to work, contact the field dispatch desk immediately.
Okay, Shafiq's still not here. I haven't been able to get a hold of him, so I need to call the field dispatch desk. Let's see if I can find that number here. I'm here. Sorry I'm late. Oh, welcome.
The inspector and clerks will finish setting up the precinct table. The inspector will first inventory the ballots and then will put out the ballots starting with the lowest sequence number for each type of ballot. They will then set out one copy of the precinct street indexes and rosters on the precinct table.
The polling place coordinator and other clerks will hang the flag and post the outside precinct street indexes. All the outside equipment delivered by the elections office, including signs and accessibility equipment, will also be set up on the morning of Election Day. Voting materials, including ballots, are provided in both English and Spanish at all precincts. For specific precincts, we also provide a language packet with instructions, ballots, and notices in Tagalog. Please make sure you've received all these materials and they are readily available. Bilingual election officers are also staffed at most polling places to assist voters with translation needs. The elections office also provides interpreter services in multiple languages via telephone.
Accessibility requirements have been set by the state of California. The Elections Office has completed surveys for all polling places in Santa Barbara County to determine if they meet the requirements set by the state. Many of them are able to meet the guidelines if we use equipment to mitigate them. The equipment is specific to each polling place and may include large wedges to keep the doors open, threshold mats, cones, and accessible parking signs. The instructions to set up the equipment are specific to each polling place and include both written instructions and pictures showing where to place the equipment. It is very important to follow the instructions and set up the equipment correctly. The equipment must remain in place from 7 o'clock a.m. until 8 o'clock p.m. while the polling place is open. All of the accessibility instruction sheets also include specific information where to place each vote sign directing voters to the polling place room. The ISA, or International Symbol of Accessibility, vote signs are used if your polling place is accessible. The sign at the entrance will need the International Symbol of Accessibility. All of our vote signs have clear plastic pockets on either side. For all accessible polling places, there will be 2 ISA placards attached to the accessibility instruction sheet. Insert the placards in the pockets and place the sign in the location designated on the instruction sheet. Lawn vote signs are used in areas with lawn or dirt. Since only one ISA vote sign is required at the accessible polling places, all other regular vote signs will have the pockets, but you will not need to insert the placards. Again, follow the instructions on the accessibility instruction sheets for placement. We are required to have Braille signs if the polling place room name is published in the sample ballot. The sign will be in the green polling place supply bag and will have temporary adhesive on the back. Many of our facilities have allowed us to permanently affix a sign. For those who did not, we must hang a temporary Braille sign for Election Day. If a temporary sign is required for your polling place, the instructions will be included on the accessibility instruction sheet. The placement of the sign is very specific. Please be sure to follow the instructions exactly. If you have any questions, please contact the field dispatch desk or ask your field supervisor for assistance.
Breaks should be taken between 10:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. Each election officer should take 2 30-minute breaks. Breaks will be scheduled at the inspector's and the polling place coordinator's discretion. Election officers are encouraged to bring snacks and meals, but they must be taken away from the precinct table and the ballot reception workstation. Inspectors and polling place coordinators will need to coordinate their breaks because the inspector will need to cover the polling place coordinator's breaks at the ballot reception workstation.
Please also remember that any use of electronics, including cell phones, e-readers, and tablets, must only occur on your breaks away from the precinct table. No electronics are allowed at the precinct table at any time. If you have an emergency phone call you must take, please step away from the precinct table to take the call.
The Election Officer Declaration is a document that all election officers sign to show their intention to fulfill the assigned duties. For inspectors and clerks, it will be located inside the blue official roster. For the polling place coordinator and traffic clerk, the Election Officer Declaration will be attached to the ballot reception tally card.
The field supervisor will have the payroll roster. Upon their first visit to the polling place, they will provide the roster for all election officers to sign.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Sam. I'll be your field supervisor today. If you need anything throughout the day, please just call the field dispatch desk and they'll go ahead and send me out to help you. I have your payroll roster here. You guys can all sign, we can get you paid.
Using the cell phone provided for the official time, the polling place coordinator will announce that the polls are open at 7 a.m. and voters must be allowed to vote at this time, even if everything is not yet set up.
The polls are now open.